Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Level Up with Patron. Today I have the lovely Craig joining us. Craig, could you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. So my name's Craig Dangar. I'm the principal accountant at Vault Accountants. We're a multidiscipline firm and primarily rural based with a Brisbane head office.
Based on your experience, what would you say the three things that senior partners should be thinking of in their role that will actually benefit the accounting firm that they're in?
Sure. The critical thing at the moment is technology, how technology can get implemented into the practice and what's going to be the end result for the clients. The next thing that we're seeing at the moment is what the future looks like for our business and how that's going to impact our clients. So a lot of our time is spent planning just for what's going to happen in the future. And probably the third one now is staffing. Firms are struggling to find staff, and it's that mix between whether or not we offshore or onshore and finding the right mix to make sure we can deliver.
With those three challenges, how have you navigated through them? Is it, surrounding yourself with the right team members, or how do you know when's the right time to address, each of those issues?
The reality is, if you've got to ask that question, it's probably too late. We take a view that everything needs to be planned out. So we look at our capacity, not when we're at 100%, but at 75% and see it growing. With technology, there's so many different platforms out there. So it's a case of seeing what we're going to need to have and making sure that our business has it.
How do you identify and pursue new business opportunities for the firm, and what strategies have been successful in the past?
So from our practice point of view, we grow by both acquisition, but also from digital marketing. And it's a case of finding what opportunities are out there. They don't just show up magically. They don't show up out of nowhere. So it is a lot about planning, and certainly our marketing is done 2 years in advance. We map it out, we plan it out, we make sure it's consistent. That only comes with planning. And in terms of acquisition, obviously opportunity shows up at the strangest times, but it's being prepared to buy a practice and integrate it into what we already have.
Awesome. And were there courses or interactions that you've had, or specific experiences that helped you hone your strategies or the way you approach those strategies further?
Certainly on the marketing, it has been trying to get it right. And I have to admit, we've got it wrong a lot more times than we've got it right. The big thing for us was always consistency. So if we have a plan and our marketing plan is written 2 years out, it's not just we're going to throw some money at it. It is mapping the whole thing out. In terms of acquisition, some have gone really well. Some haven't been the best acquisitions, but in each of them, we've learned something, changed a process, a procedure, something to make the next one go a lot easier.
Nice. And I also know that you've got a degree in multiple faculties. So you've got a degree in arts, business, law, financial planning, just to name a few. Why did you choose to diversify your studies, and how has learning those degrees helped you in what you do day to day?
So about 10 years ago, I took a bit of a break and decided to work out what I wanted to do when I grew up. During that time, I did a few different degrees to try and work out what I enjoyed. As I've moved back into accounting and taxation, they've all had their own parts. So having a law degree is exceptionally helpful when we do just the day-to-day work, where we see a contract or where we see an interaction for a client. We actually know what's going on. We do a lot of estate planning and succession work. Having those little bit of understanding is one of the most critical parts of what we actually do. And I think the one risk that a lot of firms and a lot of practitioners find is that they don't keep up to date. The constant learning is critical to make sure that you can keep doing what you've always been doing.
Is there, or has there been, a favorite one that you've taken degree-wise that we say would have stand out past the rest?
Bachelor of Tax was interesting, and it's an old ATO degree that came out about 20 years ago. But what it did was went through a lot of areas of tax you'd never touch. So from a practitioner point of view, there was a lot of state-based taxes, which there just aren't courses for. And for me, that's been something really useful over the years.
Yeah, great. I love that you just continued to pursue learning as you went on. It's just something that's so important, and is, while you can still do it, I'm sure it makes you like, I guess it just does something in you when you're just back in that learning environment, but also getting a chance to learn and apply it straight away in real-time scenarios. That's just different from when you were just at university or, you know, in high school and not having that opportunity to do something in the real world.
Absolutely. The challenge with it is obviously the heck step that goes with it, but deep down, it's been really good. So you can actually apply a lot of these things straight away. And certainly I always encourage other people to start, even if it's later in life, just going back to uni, because you may have done your degree 20 or 30 years ago and things have changed.
I do have a question from a previous guest that we had on the show. This question is from Brett, and he asks, how do you manage your staff? How do you get your staff to stay invested in the business and to be performing at the best of their capability? Do you have any tips or learnings to share?
So we've been lucky. We've got a large offshore team, and our experience with that is that they're part of our overall team. So if we do something in Australia, the team offshore do the same as well. We make sure that what we offer for our Australian staff is consistent. So we've had a really good experience with our offshore team where we don't have a lot of turnover. For the Australian team, it's a bit harder, and we've got 7 offices throughout New South Wales and Queensland. So for us, there's 1,500 kilometres between the offices. And again, it's that interaction. So nothing is hidden, everything is open. The staff know what's happening, the team knows what's happening, but we also ask for feedback. And in our case, it's training the team. So we go to the offshore team at least twice a year, and the Australian team also catch up at least twice a year, all face-to-face. The other thing we do is we'll look at other options. So we're looking at the moment at the 9-day fortnight or the 4-day week, giving our staff flexibility, especially with the work from home option. We embrace that quite heavily. So in Brisbane, we don't have full-time offices anymore, and we've given everyone the opportunity to work with what suits them. Probably just from a practice point of view, we don't use timesheets. And that's been one big thing where we don't have that frustration about trying to get to the end of the day, filling in hours. It makes things hard.
Yeah. And how has feedback been like from your staff members when you moved to embracing that 4-day work week and even not having timesheets?
The timesheets were certainly an interesting one. And for the traditional accountants, they're still struggling to understand it. We look at productivity, and productivity can be measured in a lot better ways than time. So from our point of view, some still prefer to use timesheets, but for the vast majority, it's just on production. That means there's not an artificial measure being time solely to get a job done. In terms of the movement to it, with the shorter week, it's given people more flexibility. And again, we've just found that productivity increases quite dramatically. So if you can have a Friday off, or you can have a half day on a Friday, that makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I bet, especially in summertime when you can have a Friday off to just enjoy and go to the beach when the weather's good.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's quite liberating.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned communication was a big thing in helping to just keep things open between you and your staff. Do you guys usually interact over digital platforms like Microsoft Teams, for instance, or do you guys use Slack? Is there one that you gravitate towards?
So our entire team uses Teams as our major platform. We've actually gone to the stage that we'll start using it with clients over the next 12 months. But for digital, it's always video, it's always looking at someone. Yes, some things are lost when we don't do a lot of face-to-face, but certainly Teams has been just critical for that part of the business.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Craig. Before I let you go, if people wanted to know more about yourself, if they wanted to know more about the Vault Group, where can they find you guys? Where's the best place to go?
We've got a fairly active website. It's vaultgroup.com.au. We're also getting more active on the socials. So we've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we also dabble in some videos. So we have a YouTube channel as well under the Vault Group.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show again, Craig.
Wonderful. Thanks.